Welcome back, my friends, and thank you for tuning in. We are here with the man, the myth, the legendary Andy Shectman. He is the CEO of Miles Franklin, the most respected precious metals company out there. If you guys wanted to purchase from us, we have weekly specials. I will link those right now. But also, a lot of people don't know this. I'm available 24/7. You can call me 24 hours a day. And I'll offer my services. And if I can't answer, I will call you back as soon as I can. You can email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or call me 330-485-6172. For some reason, people don't know that I actually answer the phone on the spot.
Mhm.
They're like, whoa, I didn't know you'd answer. They just assume it'd be like a voicemail or something. But yeah, I answer the phone. You can talk to
Well,
me.
that's important too, man,
Yeah.
because I don't think people understand how important a relationship is until there's some sort of a problem or an issue, and that goes a long way. I've always felt that relationships are undervalued, and the significance of them are underestimated and underappreciated. I mean, it never was back in the day, but we live in a world that has become, so automated and so just so geared towards, emails and voicemails and texts. And it goes a long way having a friend on the other line that has your back, and like I have yours, and like I know you have mine. And as a business to business relationship, it's very comforting. But I would also think it should be very comforting in regards to the way that, people purchase their metals and ask questions. And if they have to sell or have an issue or have a problem or there was a lost package or whatever it may be, I think it's significant. So I'm glad that you said that. And now that I know you take calls 24 hours a day, if I have a hard time sleeping, which I often do, I'm going to call and have you read me a bedtime story at 3, 4 in the morning and see if I can
Uh,
take you up on that offer.
Yeah, I already give my daughter, I read my daughter two books a night. That's our little thing at night. But yeah, I
Those
love it.
books will stick in your mind. You'll be my age and you'll still remember those books. And I don't know, I don't think Barney's a thing now as it was when my kids were young, but I can still sing the Barney song. It's burned into my brain. When you watch and you listen and you read all of those books. And anyways, that's cool. That's a good thing, because you know what, pretty soon she's going to be on her own, and it happens like that. People always would say
Yeah.
that to me, enjoy your time with your kids, enjoy your time. It goes so fast. And you're like, yeah, what do you know? That's not true. Time grinds and slow, but it is very true. You look back and it's like, holy crap, man. It just seemed like yesterday. So you're living in a great time, and the ability to be able to spend that time with her is awesome. So I
Yeah.
won't make you read more than a couple stories a night, to the both of us combined. So that's all good.
Yeah, the relationship thing, I have built so many good relationships from clients. I don't even call them clients. I feel so weird calling it's like just friends that I'm able to hook up with some, some silver, like and a lot of these people we just text like yeah, like they might have purchased in the past, but a lot of times we just build like friendships where we just like talk or someone asks like what do you think silver's price is doing, or they'll send me like an article or something. So it is really cool to I've never been able to engage this much with my audience over the past 10 years I've been doing this. So
Well,
it's
one of the
really
things that
fun.
connected me to you is, I'm sure, the same thing that connects your followers, is that you are authentic. You're the same here on camera as you are when I talk to you on the phone, as you are when we are talking before the camera hits record. And but that goes a long way. And we live in a world where it just seems that not enough people are authentic, not enough people really care. There are a lot of make believe, wannabe, um, and I think
Yeah.
it's easy to tell pretty quickly who the real people are. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for that. And as I've said before on the show, it's an honor to work with you. And I think you're doing people a big favor by telling them to call you 24/7. I have that, and it's enriched my life. There are times where it can be a little hassle, but in the end, yeah, you make and change lives, and you have no idea where these relationships take you, because after all, I think when you have a relationship with someone, you start to realize that there is more to a transaction than the price. I'm not to say that we're not incredibly competitive in price, but there's a lot more to it. And there was a Chinese restaurant that was right down the street from me when I lived in Minneapolis, that I would go to, and I never really loved the people there. They were just okay. There was a cook that left that restaurant and started his own about 11 miles away. I happened to stumble across it one day and struck a relationship with this guy. And I would drive for years and years and years before I moved to Florida, at least once or twice a month, or if not a lot more, to his restaurant. I would go right by the one that was really close to me and drive 11 miles extra each way to pick up to go food, even if it wasn't as hot when I got home from this guy, because of our relationship. And I think relationships are really important and should not be underestimated. And in the world we are heading into, where things are going to move much faster, I think you'll understand the value of a relationship. It's something that I think is worthy of talking about this just for a couple extra minutes than you would think we would normally talk about something like this. But to me, it is the cornerstone of it is the cornerstone of the success of my business, is the relationship with all of the people like you and Rick Rule and all of the other social media people and all the buyers that I've met along the way in 34 years, and all the clients I've met. And I think when I look at the younger generation, this is one of the reasons that I gravitated towards you as a younger guy who emulated all the things that I thought were important. But when I look at my kids, my daughter says, "Can I have some cash, Dad?" And I'm like, "Sure, here you go." No, I don't want that. That's fake money. I want something in my Apple Pay. Well, then go without, because I'm not giving it to you unless you take the cash. It's like the kids nowadays, they'll be sitting, 5 feet from each other, and they're texting each other instead of communicating. They're doing things that are very that aren't as personal as it is when you have a relationship with someone, regardless of what that relationship centers around. And I think it's really important. I try to teach my kids, the importance of looking someone in the eye, shaking someone's hand, calling instead of texting. My daughter's like, my wife will be like, "Well, did you talk with her?" "Well, I snapped her." "Well, what the hell is snap?" "How about pick up the damn phone and call her and say, 'Hey, what's going on? What are you doing tonight?'" Little things like that to me are super important. And it's one of the successes. It's one of the reasons that I've been successful, is because I've embraced relationships with people like yourself. So don't change. Keep doing that. And for all of you out there, take them up on it. And if you're looking to buy silver, there is no one better to talk to than Jay, and he'll answer the phone, or he'll call you back. And that's significant in a world where you can't count on people answering the phone or calling you back these days in businesses, at least in any meaningful or significant expedient fashion. So I appreciate the way you do that.
Yeah.
Not to belabor the issue.
It blows my mind. Just real quick, just wanted to say this because a lot of people will go out of their way to do business with me for me. I don't know. I guess it's humbling, but also with you, like just before this, you're doing, your show with Robert Kiyosaki. Like I can't even call him not a celebrity. I know he got on me for calling him that, but I mean he damn near is. And I'm sitting here, and you're more worried about me being late because we had our set time, and you're worried about me. I'm like, this is Andy Shectman, and Robert, and Andy's worried about me or how I feel because we had a set time. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, you look at everyone equal, and I really respect you for that.
I've always
Like,
treated you that way. You
I
know
know
that,
it's just,
and that's. But if I were going to be, and thank you for saying that, if I were going to give anyone tips on success of running a business, that's how you do it. You treat everyone with respect, everybody, because you can't do everything alone. And my business is better because of my relationship with
yeah,
you. My relationship with you wouldn't be the same had I not treated you with respect from the day that I met you. And there are a lot of stories that people don't know about you and I together, the things that we've talked about or things that have happened between you and I that underscore what you're saying. And it means a lot to me. And I'm legitimate about that. I don't know if
yeah,
everyone else out there does,
they
but
do.
I will tell you that is the key. In fact, I'm supposed to be working on a book with Bill Holter. I've been very negligent in finishing it. If I were going to write a book that I wanted to write, it would be something to the extent of how to get to the top without being a prick. You don't have to be a
That's a
bad
great
guy.
title. That's a
You
great
don't have
title
to be
for
a
a book.
bad guy. In fact, it's the opposite of that. And you do right by people. And what goes around comes around. Life is karma. And I've seen it more and more and more and more that if you surround yourself with people who do bad things or do bad things yourself, bad things will find you. If you do good things, even without any immediate benefit to you, you just do it because you know it's right, good things find you. And I'm 54 years old. In my life, that has happened to me unmeasurably. Um, I can't even tell you how many times, unmeasurably. But that's the most important thing, and that's why I think what you're doing, why the people want to speak to you, because you've been doing all these things for 11 years selflessly, putting out information on your free time for free. There's a lot to be said for that. You put out more information regarding economics than you can learn in a microeconomics class as a freshman at a university and for free. So I think that's people's way of paying back to you. And anyways,
Mm.
we don't have to go down the love fest, but it's real for me. My admiration and respect of you is real, and it's a real honor to call you my buddy. And so yeah, I was worried that I was late. Robert is Robert, and you're the Slayer. To me, you're both the same. He's just a little bit more well known. So
Yeah.
I thank
That's
you for
just
saying
yeah.
that, and let's chat, man. So what's
Yeah.
been going on with you? Anything new and exciting in the world of silver?
Um, I've just been a lot of the stuff actually I've been looking at older, I guess, history because I know history repeats itself. We're living in interesting times, but I have noticed a pattern like from 1980 with the Hunt brothers, the silver, their situation. And there is something to look at there. It might not be the exact same situation, but if what the Hunt brothers did basically collapsed the COMEX, pushed silver to the highest price it's been till this day, there's something there. So to look at what's happening now with not only the COMEX, the LBMA, the LME, and just naturally the industrial sector alone, I do think that, and here's my point, I'm trying to figure out when silver will take on a life of its own. When, regardless of what gold's doing, silver is going to do what it does because of its industrial, right? Regardless of what the stock market volatility does, regardless of what the dollar index, I'm trying to really try to figure out or put a timeline together or what is going to make that happen of when silver will take on a life of its own, not be so pegged to gold since they're used for two completely different things.
Well, I read something. Yes, I'm going to read it to you that will kind of answer that question, I think. And it says that the Asian and central bank demand continues apace, keeping London and COMEX short of physical liquidity. COMEX was never intended to be a delivery market, which is true, Slayer, because most of my career, less than 1% of contracts stood for delivery. Anyways, it says that COMEX was never intended to be a delivery market, yet, according to records since late November 2020, when stand for deliveries became a common occurrence, having been rare, some 2,136 tons of gold have stood for delivery and 24,072 tons of silver. These are staggering figures and do not include exchanges for physical, a significant but unknown portion of which were swapped from London forward contracts and then delivery taken. And when you realize that a country like Russia is increasing the amount of gold that they're buying to the equivalent of 36,000 ounces per day, per day, um, there's silver in that too. They're not just buying gold, and gold and silver by the deliveries that we are seeing off of the exchanges are going to enable silver to have that moment. And it's interesting that the Fed is now going to pivot and lower rates at a time when stocks and real estate are just a little bit off their all-time highs. I mean, the stock market is pretty damn well near its all-time highs, and real estate's still 15, 20% above its 2006 peak. What's going to happen to those assets? Well, they may go much higher. They really may. But in the face of gold and silver, which have been suppressed for all of this time as assets have risen in this low interest rate environment, in an environment where you're seeing the world stand for delivery, like we are seeing here, draining the exchanges with our own stupidity, I think you'll see gold and silver go higher than people can believe. And in fact, even in the face of a potentially blow off in stocks where the equities could go much higher as you inject more money into the system, I think you will lose ground in terms of ounces of gold and silver when measured against the Dow. So yeah, these are very unusual times. These are very concerning times. The biggest election of our lifetime in just a few months. The BRICS meeting in October, in October, where they have told us in principle they've agreed to a new settlement currency called the unit, which will be 40% gold backed. It has become a period of time where I really do believe that the world is no longer interested in holding for any meaningful time the debt of an insolvent country who is wayward at home, in their own ideologies, in their own pursuit of justice, of election integrity, of immigration, all of these things that we seem to have lost our bearing upon. At the same time, we're a broke country at 123% debt to GDP, increasing debt by an amount of $100,000 a second, every second, and bankrupting future generations. So why the hell would anyone want to hold our treasury debt when we're not going to pivot and lower rates, supposedly? That's just insanity. We're 50% away from the inflation target, if you believe the nonsense that is the CPI. And if they really are pivoting because employment seems to be slowing down, and it is, I mean, some of the numbers that we see with employment right now are very scary. We've seen, let's see, what do the numbers say? Full-time employment dropped by 1.3 million workers in August on a year-over-year basis. That's the seventh consecutive monthly decline. Since 2023, full-time job count in the U.S. has fallen by a whopping 1.5 million people. Meanwhile, part-time employment rose by 1 million year over year in August, mostly comprised of illegal immigrants. This was the 16th straight month of part-time job gains, the longest streak since the 2008 financial crisis. And so when you talk about what's happening, you have full-time employment being shed. You have massive part-time jobs replacing it, much of which is from illegal immigrants. And the Fed's dual mandate is obviously for inflation and full employment. By the time history has shown, by the time that they address the employment is a lagging indicator. We're already in the recession. And in terms of a recession, not only has the yield curve uninverted, which always portends a recession. In fact, it has every single time since 1950. It says when the curve uninverts, and it has officially uninverted, that you're going to hit a recession every single time since 1950. And there's also something called the SAM rule, which was developed by an economist named Claudia Sam, and it has anticipated the last 9 recessions with a 100% track record. It identifies the onset of a recession by looking at the increase in the unemployment rate. And the unemployment rate, if it increases on a 3-month moving average, if it rises by 0.5% or more above its 12-month low, you're in a recession. Well, bang, we're at 0.53. We're in a recession. So between the uninverting of the yield curve, between the SAM rule, between all of the putrid employment numbers, the revision of 818,000 jobs just a few weeks ago, and then you have the insiders, which just happen to be fleeing the sinking ship. Hedge funds have dumped stocks for 12 of the last 13 weeks. And at the end of the second quarter, the majority of the bigwigs like Bezos and Zuckerberg and what's his name, the Oracle of Omaha, what's his name? what's his name? The great investor in the United States. Why can't I think of his name? From Omaha. Come on, help me out, Slayer. You
Warren
know,
Buffett, Jim
Warren
Rogers.
Buffett.
Uh,
Warren Buffett is sitting on the most amount of cash he's ever had, basically. This is the biggest value investor everywhere. He's sold everything or tons of it, including a huge position in Bank of America, who holds a massive short position in silver. Um, is it ironic that these guys are already out of a large portion of their position? So things are beginning to reach that breaking point with the
mhm.
economy, with the pivoting of the Fed, with the reintroduction of quantitative easing, with the massive deliveries we see off of COMEX and the LBMA. All of these things are happening at once, along with the BRICS meeting and the election in November. Um, these are not dull times. These are not times to be speculating. And I don't think there's ever been a better time to look at silver, and it will have its moment. It will have its day. And when you see, China, the second largest producer in the world, as Sean Kunkun told us, buying up doré and concentrate in Latin America, paying up to double what the West will pay, and importing it back home to refine it there so it doesn't come off of an exchange as the second largest producer in the world. When you see India buy between 7 and 800 million ounces of silver over the last 3 years, which is 10 times more than the COMEX has, which is more than the LBMA has in total, which is about 800 million ounces, of which 500 belongs to the ETFs, only 300 million backing the trades, where the London Metals Exchange can trade up to 3 billion ounces of silver per day, 3.5 times annual global mine supply. All of these things seem to be converging. So yeah, I think we will have that episode where you and I get on and say, "Holy shit, silver's at $75 an ounce," or but that's not the reason you buy it. You don't buy it to become wealthy. You buy it because it is wealth. And
Mm.
yes, it has the potential to make you wealthy. It does. But there are very few things I've ever seen in 30, almost 35 years of finance that have the pedigree that silver does in terms of demand, supply, that imbalance, the lack of supply, the diminishing supply in ground, above ground, the uses that are expanding, and the monetary side of things. So, there's this old belief that it's better to be 60 seconds or six, let's say 6 months or 6 years early than 60 seconds late. And in
Mm.
this environment, that I think will hold to be very true.
Yeah, just look at the next couple of months. You said the BRICS meeting in October, but we also found out about October 1st, where the United States is pushing that mandate of banks have to hold at least 4.5% of
Basel
gold or
three.
tier one.
Yep.
And which is funny because the BRICS unit is 40% and ours is 4.5%, which just
Well, if you think
shows.
about that, so think about that for a moment. A well-capitalized bank will have 4.5% of the assets that they are responsible for in-house. 4.5%. I mean, does that really sound responsible? And that underscores the statement that you are an unsecured general creditor of the bank. And if you realize that, you're the last to be paid. Their FDIC is a scam, that there's 150 billion or so backing 18 trillion in deposits, that the banks are massively over leveraged and undercapitalized. It's been at zero since COVID. And they're going to make it 4.5%. Doesn't that inspire a tremendous amount of confidence? And it should just really, I think, accentuate the statement of being your own bank. And to a degree, it's impossible to really be your own bank, but to hold wealth in something like silver and gold that is not conventional, but is proven. I mean, gold's, has outpaced every asset for the last 25 years, except for Bitcoin. It's averaged 9.9% compounding. And you look at silver, it's done pretty damn well over the last several years. I mean, go back to its low point in 2020 of $12. It's up 300%. Should it be up higher? Yeah, of course it should. Will it be? Yes, of course it will. But when you look at a dollar that is losing, according to John Williams, he said add 8% to whatever number they show you. And that's closer to what real inflation is. Well, they tell us we're at 3% inflation. John says we're at 11. So when you talk about moving backwards, you're moving ahead with gold, even though you don't see it because it doesn't pay a coupon, but it has outpaced inflation, and silver will slingshot in performance past gold before the music stops. You're doing really important work for people, opening their eyes to what silver represents. It is not an investment, it is an asset that has been valued for 5,000 years. And I think will only take on greater significance when Zoltan Pozar's, revelation of this being a system that will move from debt-based instruments like government bonds of a broke country to tangibles. Who's got the war chest? He or she who has the metals and the commodities, hard and soft, soybeans, wheat, corn, copper, steel, zinc, lead, gold, silver, platinum, you name it, makes the rules. And where we are going, he or she who loses least wins. I do believe that. So, yeah, I don't think we've seen anything yet. It should be an interesting few months leading up to the end of the year.
Yeah, the timing, like the BRICS meeting in October, we saw that, you know, since last year, but we just now found out, I don't know how long ago they announced the October 1st mandate thing, but the timing is not ironic. So it's like they're trying to combat, BRICS, which is interesting itself, but then in November you have the election, right? So I just feel like these are like the last, even though things are crazy, these are the last couple of months where things are really not that as crazy as they're gonna get. Like I feel like after October, when all the brick stuff at, I feel like that's when, especially with the election and not only just the election from Kamala versus Trump, but domestically, geopolitically, even economically, I just feel like things are about to escalate way faster in the next couple of months, which is
So
crazy
do
to say.
I. So do I. And I think that it's difficult for people to accept that reality because normalcy bias and recency bias would say that's not going to happen, that everything is going to be okay like it always has. And let's hope that that really is the case. But I don't think you get many opportunities in silver, like many opportunities in a lifetime, like you see in silver right now. And I say that I try and be as sincere as it's humanly possible, as we've talked about. The lack of supply, the plurality in demand in all of these different applications, and as John Little of the Pickaxe has talked about, the military applications. And there are very few things I've ever seen that offer the potential with what's called asymmetrical risk reward. It's the best asymmetrical risk reward portfolio or setup I have ever seen in my career, which means what offers you the best upside with the lowest downside. To me, that's silver. I've never seen anything quite like it. So, yeah, I think over the next few weeks, as we continue to talk every Tuesday, that it will be very, very interesting. Starting with the election, or excuse me, with the debate tomorrow night, and what happens following. So let's
Yeah.
buckle up and continue these discussions as we continue to see things unfold. But I will tell you, things are going to get tough to get. The U.S. Mint just told me today that they're out of 1/10 ounce gold eagles. They've sold out, and they don't know when they'll restock them. That means
Wow.
2020. That's how it starts. If they say we're out of silver eagles, bang, just like that. That's how it starts. And then
Yep.
all of a sudden, everyone rushes to buy Maple Leafs, and the Canadian Mint says, we're out. And then everyone runs to buy. And so when you realize that there's two mints in North America, US and Canada, and then you have the handful of refineries, it's a very fragile ecosystem, one that has been very, very kind to the consumer over the last 6 months, 7 months in terms of availability, price, premium. That's going to change too if we start to see the mints run out of product as people wake up to the potential chaos that's at our doorstep.
That's a very good point that they've been very kind because you think about the shortage and where premiums have been. We saw Eagles premiums, you know, through the roof. For them to come back down, they could have kept them high, right? They could have just kept premiums, 15, $16. Uh, but yeah, the availability thing as well. And that's like with us, you have so many connections, you're able to fill a $55 million order twice. Who else can do that? So we'll be one of the last companies standing in terms of being able to find product, I feel. And that's why a lot of people have been hitting me up. They say, my local coin shop, he's out, or someone bought him out, or, my, like Robert Kiyosaki said when I interviewed him 2 years ago, he said, my coin dealer of 30, 40 years, he can't find silver anymore. He's like, that's why we have Andy Shectman. So that's another reason why, you might want to build a relationship with us, is because, we're able to still source it. But I know you got to go. So,
I'm gonna
yeah,
hold your feet to the fire here on the on camera and invite you
yeah,
down here to spend a few days with me real soon, so that I can so that you and I can do something live together, sitting next to each other, and it's long overdue. So
yeah.
hopefully you'll do that. Take me up on it, and I'm paying for the flight. So come down
All
and
right.
spend some time with
All
me in
right.
Florida, and let's do this live together, as it would be proper to do so.
All right. Yep, I'm down. I'm down. We could plan it. I know I was trying to take my daughter down there in
Well, bring her
December,
with too.
but yeah, because you said you're 2 hours from Disney.
I'm about 2.5 hours from Disney and Delray Beach, and we'll keep
Yeah.
we'll keep her busy. I promise you.
Yeah.
I have a 17-year-old daughter who still thinks she's 7 years old. So sometimes she thinks
Yeah.
she's 27, other times she thinks she's 7. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure
Yeah.
that your daughter doesn't get to witness the
Yeah.
27 yet, but for sure the 7, and we'll take good care of her. But I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
do need to cut it early this
Yep.
time. But I'll look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk all about the debate next week. And of course, if
Yeah.
anything pops up before that, we'll jump on together.
Yeah. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe, and also make sure to email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or call me 330-485-6172. I'll make sure you're taken care of. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you,
Peace.
my man.